Adam, so this is coming up more and more. I Let's say I'm trying to hire a C-level employee for my startup or for my company, a CFO, a president, one of these titles, and the person that I've identified that I really want to work with wants to be an independent contractor. What what do I do there?
So, with any employee, whether they're in the C suite or not, you have to evaluate, are they actually an independent contractor or are they a W 2 employee? And there's a lot of factors that go into that, and there's a lot of laws that govern exactly how you characterize the employment relationship. So, you have to see, is this executive, is this someone that does maybe fractional work as part of a his or her own organization that does C-suite work for a number of other organizations? Is that what we want? Do we want a fractional C-suite executive? If so, then maybe the 1099 arrangement can work, depending on the jurisdiction you're in, of course, because certain jurisdictions are more risky than others in terms of the 1099 characterization. But if you really want someone there on a more regular basis that does not have their own business of providing this fractional service, then that's a situation where the individual should be a W 2 employee. And if you want this employee bad enough, it may feel like you have to, treat them as a 1099 because that's what the individual wants. But you always have to keep in mind that the individual's preference is not a legal defense if you misclassify the worker. So C-suite executive says, I'll only join you if you characterize me as a 1099 when clearly they should be a W-2. That will not serve as a legal defense for you if you're challenged, let's say, by a government agency during an audit proceeding, or if you're ultimately sued by this worker who, let's say, later wants benefits that are associated with being a W 2 employee. I've often said that the individual will choose what most suits them in the moment. And it will definitely suit the executive, presumably receiving a higher wage or higher compensation, to take home more money and be a 1099 on the front end. But on the back end, if something goes wrong, let's say the worker becomes injured in the workplace and then wants to file for workers' comp and is then potentially excluded because that worker is a 1099, well, then that worker is going to want the benefits associated with being a W-2 and will argue that he or she should have been W-2 the whole time. Many, many more examples like this, but the point of it is you do have to evaluate the legality of the potential relationship and understand that the worker preference is not going to save you as a legal defense if it should be a W-2 relationship.
Yeah, and another thing to think about though is when you do have independent contractors, when you go that route, in a normal W-2 employee relationship, most of our like intellectual property and other laws are set up to benefit the company that employs them. Once you go the independent contractor route, you need to have it all written out, or ownership of intellectual property can go to the wrong place. You can have all sorts of things like duties that they would ordinarily have to a company may not apply. So you really need to think about what the agreement looks like and make sure that you have a written agreement in place for everything you'd expect from somebody in that role, since this is going to be a contractor.